Hey, all right. Hey, Prerock here. I'm rocking the neon pink shirt because that's how I roll. But anyway, um, it's the start of the semester, and I think all of you are getting a bit concerned about textbooks. And I think it's important to state at this point that, in my opinion, I don't think it's actually necessary for you to get your textbooks yet. The biggest reason for this is, believe it or not, textbooks are actually not mandatory for a lot of classes. So what I would recommend a lot of you do is wait until the first day of class and wait to see what the professor thinks. Because the professor is the biggest person that actually matters in this case. Even though on Schedule Builder or even though on any site, even if it says that you need this textbooks, the site just has a binary version. Either you need a textbook or you don't. So sometimes the site will show that this textbook is required, even though it's not actually required. It's just a recommendation. So I strongly recommend that you wait until the first day to see what your professor thinks. If your professor says this textbook is only for um, our recommended exercises or certain recommendations, and he says or she says that it's not mandatory, I actually would not recommend spending $100 $200 on a textbook that's usually found in the student store. I don't think that's useful at all. If a textbook is not mandatory, it's actually in your best interest to either A, rent it on Amazon, B, potentially even go to the library. A library has versions of the book available inside that you can use for free. And so sometimes spending $100 $200 might not even be useful. And personally, what I found is for lower division classes like Chem 1A, I personally did not. I opened up the textbook maybe once or twice. The class already gave me so many resources that I did not need the textbook. But if you find yourself thinking that you learn better from a textbook, it's fine to get one. It's just you don't need it on by the first day. Trust me, you don't need it by the first day. Primarily because you won't be assigned that much already. Another reason is the professors understand that you need some time. So that first syllabus week, you don't actually need to spend. They'll give you time to actually get your books in order. And the only time I do recommend getting the textbook is when it's required. And when it's required, you'll often see that the professors themselves will actually assemble it. So this is a textbook from Biology 1A, Biology 1AL, and this is all self-assembled by the professor, and it's actually mandatory for the class. And this is how you know you need to invest in it, because it's actually filled with information that the professors expect you to know. But if it's a textbook that's being sold by some fancy publisher, that's not always necessary. And sometimes you can even be really smart and just Google the textbook online and find free PDFs of it and save yourself a decent amount of money. But as I mentioned, the only time you want to buy textbooks is when they're either required or they're made by the professors themselves. So you'll see here, this one is UC Berkeley, spring 2014. It's something that was made by the professors and it was required. Similarly, here's another one made by the professors and required. So these are the ones that are required, and these are also less expensive. But the really expensive textbooks, you really probably want to wait off until the first day and see if it really is in your best interest. Maybe even see and check out the textbook from someone else and see if you'll find it useful before you go off and spend $200 on something like that. Trust me, not useful. I don't think I opened a textbook up until maybe upper divs, because you'll see that you'll start learning a lot, and the class itself usually gives you a lot of resources to do that. If you have any questions on this, let me know. But I hope this answers most of your textbook concerns. And don't be worried if you don't already have your textbooks yet.